Ready? Go. All right. All right, these are the adoptive parents' version of an ultrasound picture. They're called referral photos, and they're the very first photos my husband and I saw of our children. And we saw these kids from the Philippines and Ethiopia, and we instantly fell in love with each of them. And it's very humbling to become the parent of another woman's child. And I've asked myself, why do I get the privilege of parenting these amazing children? Well, the easy answer is that we have the love and the resources to care for them. But the underlying answer is that we have these resources because of global white supremacy and colonization. And that is the truth. And I've learned that white supremacy is more than those idiots down in Charlottesville. White supremacy is the belief that our perspective on the world is the world. It's the view that white culture is the norm and is best. And I've learned that racism is more than individual bigotry and hate. Racism is a structural power plus privilege. And it's hard for me to say this, but it was really my own white supremacy that made me think I was equipped to parent these children. We thought we were giving them a better life, and maybe we have, but by whose standard? And many people believe a story about international or transracial adoption that goes like this. Good, kind white people, and let's face it, we're almost always white, save these black and brown-skinned children. In that story, the parents are saintly, and the children should be grateful. But the problem is that that story is not only untrue, it's harmful. Because we adopted our children because we wanted to be parents. They had no say in it and no choice whatsoever. And the truth is, adoption is loss and it's grief. And so while we're celebrating the growth of our family, our children were losing their families. They were losing their language, their culture, their community. They were losing the sights, sounds, smells, and tastes of their homeland. And they left all of that and came to a place that we thought was better. But it was a place where they are other. And they're often the only child of color in the classroom, on the team, in the ski lodge, where they've never had a teacher or a coach who looked like them, and where I can virtually find a hair salon on every corner, but my daughter has to travel an hour to get her hair styled. We've always tried to instill in them a positive self-esteem and identity, so we learned to cook Ethiopian food and Filipino food. We've gone to culture camps. And when my daughter rubbed her hand against mine and said, "Mom, I don't want my brown skin. I want nice white skin like yours," of course, I told her how beautiful her brown skin is. And we've connected with other families that look like ours, and we have friends who are like family now, and my children have cousins, birth cousins, who live on the seacoast. And we've gone back to the Philippines, and we plan to return again to Ethiopia. Now, when our kids were little, we faced issues of race directly and with humor. So when a teacher confused my daughter with another student, I was able to laugh it off and say, no, she's the other Asian girl. And my daughter and I could roll our eyes and kind of make a joke of it. Or when a little boy at a birthday party looked at my son and said to his mom, "Why is that boy so dirty?" We talked about how that poor child had never seen a dark-skinned person before, and we felt sorry for him. But then they got older, and as adolescents, they became aware of the world around them and the racism in our culture. And they saw how people like them, that looked like them, were depicted in the media, or oftentimes not depicted at all. Now, sometimes I'll watch how people look at my children when they're seemingly on their own in public. And I see the change in attitude when I walk up to them and show that they're actually with me. And I didn't think that the kids noticed that till my daughter said to me, "You think I don't know that? What do you think that does to my humanity? Do you know what that does to my humanity, to have to be protected by a white woman?" No, I don't. I don't know what it's like to be Asian. I never will. I'll never know what it's like to be black in America. I can only know what they tell me, what I learned from them and from other people of color, and what they tell me about their world. Now, this is a wonderful community that we live in, and my children are loved, and they have many friends. But this next slide is a slide of my children's schoolmates in Market Square on the Sunday after the election. I'm talking too fast. I'm going to wait, though, here. I'm going to pause, because this is my children's classmates on the Sunday after election in Market Square Day. So what do you think this does to their humanity? Now, Jordan Edwards is a boy who's 15 who was shot and killed last April while sitting in the passenger seat of his family's car. He and his brothers were leaving a party when Jordan was shot in the face by a police officer. My son heard about it and said, a 14-year-old boy was shot? That's like me, and he asked to see his photo. That's my son on the left. That's the picture I showed him of Jordan Edwards. And when I showed him that picture, he gasped and he physically shuddered with a look of terror on his face, because you can see when he saw that, he saw himself. And it's easy to sit back and enjoy the status quo when issues of race don't affect you. But these events have profound effects on people of color. And you can understand why they feel personally under attack, because they can't just take off their skin and pack it away. They can't decide to ignore racism every other Tuesday. So to be the parent that my children deserve, I've had to confront my own racism and the role that I play in this system. So I've learned about things like redlining by banks that oppressed Black families and kept them from participating in the rise of the American middle class. As a product of that middle class, I continue to benefit from those policies. And I say all this not with guilt and shame, but just as a statement of facts that we have to acknowledge. And I have friends and family members who are getting really mad at me for saying these things that I'm saying here tonight, because this stuff makes people really upset. But I'm not saying I'm a bad person. I'm just saying the system of white supremacy is like a fog that's been here so long that we don't even see that we're living in the midst of it. But imagine if we could really take steps to undermine this system, lift that fog, and then we could see the world and see each other more clearly and more honestly. And we could all benefit from that. Thank you.